Sam Sanders, Saeed Jones, and Zach Stafford. Hello, Boston Tea Party.
Oh, wow.
Whew.
Hi.
Oh my God, how are y'all?
Hi, friends.
Thank you for choosing us over Ira Glass.
I mean,
you chose black
Wow.
instead of white, and we
And you
love that
chose
today.
violence right away.
yeah.
I said that with love. Like, I love Ira. We were just in Chicago with Ira.
We
He
were.
and Sam were on stage, and Sam gave a beautiful ode to Ira Glass.
I
He
love
is
that
the
man.
father.
That's why I do audio.
Yeah, but this
Yeah.
is the tea party, so thank you for coming.
We love people with taste. That's why you're here.
Yes.
Good to see
yes.
you. Was it a choice?
Yeah,
Wasn't a
it
choice.
wasn't a choice. So as you all probably have learned, this festival, people are going to trickle in like these wonderful,
okay.
beautiful
Welcome,
people.
baby.
Hi.
Move around. We're going to be in motion together. Folks are running late. Uber's here. Terrible. So late. I'm over it. But today's Vibe Check recording is going to be like a regular one. Who has been here with us before?
Yeah, all right. Good to see you.
Returning
Good to
visitors,
see you
we
again.
love.
Thanks for coming
Visitor.
back.
So we're going to record it like a regular show, which means we're going to do a vibe check-in. You're going to hear music. We're going to take a little break. And you'll see how the magic happens. This show will also be in our feed at some point. So make a lot of noise, yell at us, and you may make it into the show. And
But
with
keep
that,
it cute because Homegirl said she would attack
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
So,
So keep
it-
and her boss was like, she would.
Yeah. Keep it cute. Well, now that we have the ground rules down, let's begin
Yeah.
like we typically do.
Okay.
Drum roll.
Drum
Sam
roll.
Sanders.
Okay, let me preface this.
Very excited.
Listeners know every week I try to find a cute, fun way to introduce the ladies and not just saying, hey, ladies. I was stuck this week, so just, hey, ladies.
Hey, ladies.
Hey, ladies.
All right, hi.
Right? I am so happy to be back in Boston, my audio home. I'm Sam Sanders.
I am your Cambridge neighbor, Saeed Jones. Hi.
And I just flew in from Provincetown, so I'm your Cape Cod sister, the house on the Cape, Zach Stafford, and you're listening to Vibe Check Live.
Nor'easter edition. Let's
Nor'easter
call it that.
edition.
Yeah.
We're so excited. I took the Cape Cod Air in. Very fancy.
He finds a way, even when we're going and coming from the same place, he finds the most bougie way. Nigga, take the ferry. Like, what
And
do you...
then when he extended his trip
Yes.
to Provincetown on the Zoom last week, he was like, "Oh, you guys, I'm just stuck out here.
I'm shipwrecked.
And we're like,
But you
"Who chose
extended
this?
your trip.
Who
What do
chose
you-
this?"
Shipwrecked in a home in P-Town. It's real terrible. Real terrible. No, I took Cape Cod Air because my partner has points on JetBlue, and I said, that's a JetBlue flight. You better book these flights for us. And when I got, so it was a really cute experience because I got on the plane. Who's done Cape Cod Air before? Anybody? Okay, a few people?
Okay.
Terrifying. Terrifying. I walked out into that runway and I was like, oh, cute. It's my favorite. It's like my little private jet. And then all of a sudden, all the FAA news went through my head. I was like, oh, shit, this is it. And it was a rainbow plane. I was like, I'm going to die in a gay plane.
This is some light skin logic.
It
It's
is.
you and Gail King
Why am I in the middle of this?
No,
my
it's the truth.
God.
getting on air vehicles y'all have no business being on.
And
When will you learn?
5 minutes into the 20-minute flight, I thought, this could be it. This may be it.
See.
But it wasn't, and I'm now here. So welcome to today's episode. We are going to be giving you a lot of fun drama, I think, today.
Fun drama.
We are going to be doing 2 segments like we typically do. First segment is going to be about some Broadway drama, my favorite as a Broadway girly. We're going to be discussing the 2 icons, Patti LuPone and Audra McDonald. Well, now 1 icon.
I love this room already.
1 icon.
Y'all
Audra
said
McDonald.
dos?
Dos?
No.
Not here.
Yeah.
But we're going to be talking about Patti LuPone's recent comments about
Honestly,
Audra.
everyone,
Yeah.
but also Audra
About
McDonald.
Keisha Lewis and everybody else. And then after that, we're going to be talking about sex and why we are in a sex recession.
Apparently, y'all ain't fucking.
Yeah.
Raise your hands if you are. I'm kidding. Yes.
And honestly, wasn't a lot of hands. Wasn't a lot of
So
hands.
we're glad you're here today.
Wow.
Yeah.
This
okay.
is crazy. I was like, people are fucking, and then it turns out you're not.
No,
okay.
we're not. We're not. So, and then after that, we're going to be taking some questions from the audience. So, as you see above, if you go to slido.com, you can submit questions. I'll be reading them and vetting them. Get messy. It's a Saturday afternoon. I love it. They have glasses of wine up here. We got beer.
I got my beer.
We'll answer
Yeah.
anything.
Is that an IPA?
No, I refuse that.
Oh.
This is nice and mild. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you can. We're obviously going to have a Q&A at the end, but you can also ask us questions during the segment, and if we can, we'll work it into the conversation.
Yeah.
And my only guidance, and I said this yesterday with Zach on stage with Roxanne Gay, our friend, questions end in question marks.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good reminder. So with that, let's check in, ladies. How are we, Saeed Jones?
Oh.
How's it going?
It is good. Well, I have to say, where are the wild turkeys?
They don't cross the river.
No, they do. Oh, I've definitely seen them over here.
They're not here, though.
I've definitely seen
Okay.
them over here.
Yeah.
Coming to WB or whatever park is kind of near. They love that. Where'd they go? I'm scared. Okay, yeah, I'm on alert. I haven't seen any wild turkeys in my neighborhood. I live near Central Square in weeks, and I just feel like they're gonna fucking jump me. Like it's just gonna. It just has me very, on edge. But otherwise, my vibe. Oh, hi, Nicholas. Hi, one of my students from Harvard is here. Hello, thank you for coming. So proud of you. You just graduated. You're just incredible.
Congratulations.
Incredible. We've been working on his writing all year. He's just incredible. But my vibe is, now that like my student is here, I'm going to be a dumb bitch until Labor Day. Yeah, the school year's over. I finished all of my paperwork for Harvard and Bennington College. Don't ask me to look at nothing. Don't ask for insight on nothing. Dumb bitch until Labor Day. Okay?
What was the joke you said? Even if God asked you for
God
edits?
herself could be like, Saeed, would you look at my writing? I'd be like, bitch, in September. Yeah, I just want to be stupid, hot, and working on my book. That's it.
Good on you.
I'm choosing me. To freedom.
Himbo Summer.
Yes.
To me. As I was like literally entering grades, every time I finished, I would just go, to freedom. Like it was just. So I got myself together. I put on a suit for y'all, but just know, every other day of the week.
Good on
Can't
you.
trust me.
Booty
That's my
short.
vibe.
Booty short.
You deserve.
Yeah, after you left P-Town, we were in P-Town together, and we were doing a little show there, which some of you were at. And I went for a bike ride after Saeed left through the forest. No, it was the day before we left. I didn't tell you this. I'm riding through the forests of Cape Cod. Didn't know there were forests out there.
Oh, they're pretty.
Surprise. I come around a bend, big-ass turkey, standing there,
See,
fully
they jump
up,
you.
chest out.
Yeah.
I said, not today, Lord. And I
They're
went
so
the other
scary.
way. Yeah. Craig almost crashed his bike. It was a mess. And I was
Not
like, I see why
Craig.
Saeed is
Protect
so.
Craig.
I know. I see why Saeed is so stressed out. by
They're
these turkeys.
both absurd looking and terrifying. Like it's like you're frozen, paralyzed because you're like, I want to laugh and scream at the same time. It's crazy.
And also, my turkey pet peeve, and I think I've said it before, turkey's not a good bird to eat.
It's not.
There are better birds.
I'm sorry,
The
Sam.
smaller the bird, the better the meat.
Did you just say turkey pet peeve?
Yeah, I was like,
Yes.
as if which implies that there are other there's a
Anytime that I've had turkey that tastes good, whoever made it worked on that turkey for 3 days.
That's true.
That's true.
It's just
like
a
deep
tough
fried,
Yeah,
smoked it.
brine it and then
Yeah.
and then
But we need
punch
to
it
cut that
again.
out. We're like, no, turkeys are delicious. You see a turkey, get your Glock out,
Take out the turkey.
pow pow. That's why they're running here because we're not about guns in Massachusetts. And I'm like, I don't know, we might need to load up because it's crazy.
You're like, you know where you don't see turkeys? Chicago. Where I used to live. Yeah.
Quail,
What?
Cornish game hen, goddamn chicken. No turkey.
Sam, I feel like you'll be on your deathbed going, no turkey.
No turkey.
Well, what's your vibe?
My vibe, I was saying backstage to Zach, so much of this trip to Boston this time feels like, and hear me out, a little Taylor Swift Eras tour. I know you don't like
Go
her.
on.
It's just like very much not just full circle, but like mini circles.
Yeah.
So I've said this a lot. I got my start in audio as an intern at WBUR. And my last semester of grad school at the Kennedy School, I only took one class, so I would have 4 days a week to come here and work. And I would walk across the Charles 4 days a week, and if it was snowing, I took 3 buses to come work at the station, and this was my start. And then Margaret
Looks like an ancestor. Go ahead.
Listen, is that a problem?
Both ways.
Is that a
uphill.
problem? Yes, yes.
It's fine.
And then the person who runs this station now, Margaret Lowe Smith, she was on the hiring committee that gave me my first job at NPR. It's just amazing. And so, like, seeing her, being back at the station, I went for a run this morning, back to campus, back past Pinocchio's Pizza. Y'all know it. Y'all know it. And then there were other moments. Last night, I was at the gala for this festival, and I saw several old colleagues from NPR. I saw one of my old editors from the Washington Post, and I had blacked out my Washington Post era. And it was so beautiful. And then the icing on top of the cake, or the cherry on top of the cake, of just this weekend of reunion. We said it yesterday, and I'll say it here. Starting next weekend at 11 a.m. on Sundays, after Wait, Don't Tell Me, BUR is going to be running my KSRW show, the Sam Sanders show.
Okay.
And so, just in so many ways, this time here in Boston has felt like a good, full circle, returning kind of moment.
That is like Taylor Swift Eras Tour. I'm like, girl, let's call your life flashing before your eyes.
Well, sure.
She doesn't
but,
have
like,
the market corner.
It's been so nice to like have a trip where I go back to places where I was before, and I'm not like, oh Lord, what did I do there? What was
Walk
this?
with your head high.
Exactly.
I want to know, did you see any old tricks, or and you were like, oh, I know that apartment.
I've been
Saeed,
on
you're
the
so messy.
straight and
I
narrow.
also asked that. Wow.
Everyone's asking that.
I said, are there any men? I got in the Uber with you. I said, are there any men here that you want to see?
I don't know why they would ask this question.
So was your nose growing? Come on.
Listen. Right now, the men folks are back in LA. So we're going to keep it there.
Yeah.
Anywho, my vibe is great. It's been very much full circle. And I just, it's been nice to look back on all the different parts of my life that have like flared up here in a good way.
I love that.
That was very big Pisces energy of you to say all of that.
Pisces?
Because in P-Town, it's all I would talk about.
All he would talk about.
I was like, this is the first vacation I went on with Craig. And I on stage, I said, it's going to be a test of like, it's full circle. Will we survive? Who knows? I got off stage, he goes, who knows? He's like, we're about to go through something I didn't know. But I think to your point, it's nice to come home or go back to places that are kind of landmarks in your life.
Yeah.
And see how you feel now and what has changed.
And at this age, I can come back to the landmark and not be like, oh shit, I was drunk over there.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I was crying over there. Oh shit, he was in that apartment.
Yeah.
Like, now I just come back and I'm like, it all worked out.
Yeah.
It all worked out.
I think I've said this before, but I turned 40 this year.
Yeah.
Zach turns 40 in
5 years.
fuck.
Wow. Wow.
Damn. Yeah. But I do think a lot about Black queer people in this country. One, we don't have a lot of Black queer elders.
No.
It's still a fairly rare phenomenon in this country, and us being able to live into our fourth decade and being able to, I tease you, but to have those moments of reflection, to go back and with pride, is, I think, honestly, still a fairly new phenomenon.
It is.
You know what I mean? Like, you talk to Black trans women, and it's like, we are just now getting to the point where we can have this kind of generational conversation.
And it bucks the trend of how we're all primed to see queer people in the culture.
Yeah.
It's usually leading with our suffering.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so much of this weekend and this show has been about like my queer joy.
Yeah.
And I like it.
Love that.
Yeah.
It's good.
Her.
Yeah.
And Saeed, you're so right. I'm like getting chills thinking about this because, we all grew up in the shadow of the AIDS epidemic. We were kids watching people a few years older than us dying very rapidly. And as I came of age, in the 90s, 2000s, and I started going to bars when I was 18.
He said 90s, 2000s.
90s,
We get it. You're young.
Thank you.
90s, 2000s.
I was like, just a reminder, 5 years to 40, 5 years to 40. But no, when I started going to the bars, I would notice older gay men.
In 2018, when he began to go to the bars.
2008. I would go to the bars and see older gay men by themselves sprinkled around the bar. Yeah. And I'd be like, why are they alone? And one day someone told me, well, all of their lovers, their friends died. They survived. And our generation is the first at scale to survive this long. So we are the new elders for the younger generation.
We love it.
It's wild. Yeah.
Beautiful elders.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Beautiful elder.
You young elder.
Thank you.
You're
Baby
right,
girl.
though. He was like the 90s, but you weren't doing nothing in the 90s but learning how to walk.
That's true. I was trying to be generous. I was being generous.
What song was #1 the year that you finished high school?
Oh, surprisingly, finished high school. I thought you meant Born because I know Born. Because I looked it up in school one day.
What is it?
Madonna Vogue.
Oh, wow.
I was
You are
born,
young.
Which makes sense.
Because
Look
you
at me.
Vogue, girl.
I Vogue.
Yes.
When I was 2008, what was the #1 song? I don't know.
Doesn't matter. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out later.
We'll add it in post. Anywho, what is your vibe, my sister?
So my vibe is feeling, grateful for certain icons of my life not being problematic yet.
Give it time.
Give it time. And it has really come to surface with, I loved Patti LuPone for a while. I loved her craziness, which we'll get into. But now I'm like, girl, not today. But the reason why I bring this up is because yesterday I was pulled onto stage with Sam and Roxanne Gay to be in.
Who was there?
All right.
Can I just, I mean, for those who didn't see it,
Great.
I'm not going to steal your story, but I made this bitch come on stage and work with us, and he came on in Daisy Dukes.
Daisy Dukes.
Just a legend and an icon.
Daisy Dukes.
Yeah,
Truly
it was
not
great.
prepared for this. And the reason why I got on stage is because I'm in the green room with Sam, Roxanne, and Michael Barbaro, who was trying to give me his pants so I could wear them onto stage. And I was like, girl, I don't
Michael was like, you want my pants?
And I was like, I don't want to get in your pants today, Michael Barbaro, so I am going to go out in my shorts. But what also, sorry, I had to make the joke. But I also, as we were getting off stage, someone told us, they said, you know, Ina Garten's here right now. And I was like, the white woman of my life, Ina Garten.
And
I
you have so many white women.
so many white women. My mother, Ina Garten, so many. And, you know, I just, as you all know, I was shipwrecked on the Cape this week. So I was feeling...
Not shipwrecked.
I was feeling my, like, white woman
You're
tease.
so brave.
So brave. And so I walked down. I beat you down there. So I walked into the room, and Ina was there with her husband, Jeffrey. And I said, hi, I'm Zach. She's like, hi, I'm Ina. I'm like, I know. And she's like, this is my husband, Jeffrey. I'm like, I really know. Like, I really know. But I kept it cool. I was like, we chit-chatted. And
Meanwhile, my dumb ass, I was like, I want to get a video. My friends love you.
Yeah,
Let's do a video, Ina, right now.
Sam asked for selfie. I did not. I was like, I just need the memory. And I'm so glad I asked for the memory because
Pisces.
she said, thank you, Pisces. She was talking to us about our shows. And I said, we're off to DC next. And she's like, where are you playing? And then we said 6th and I on Tuesday. And she goes, oh, that's a great place. I've played many times. She goes, as long as you're not going to the Lincoln Center, you know? And in that moment, I was like, Ina.
You mean the Kennedy Center?
Kennedy Center, thank you. The Kennedy Center.
I was like, why is the Lincoln Center getting straight?
Kennedy Center. She said, as long as y'all aren't going to the Kennedy Center. And in that moment, I was like, Ina Garten didn't vote for Trump. Thank God. So.
And also, what an elegant
Nice way to say it.
Oh, and it was her way to read us, too. She looked at us like,
Wow.
as long as it's not the Kennedy Center.
Yeah.
And I said, no, it's not.
We see you.
Can I tell you my favorite Ina fun fact?
Yes.
So the reason I made Ina make a video with me for these two good friends of mine, Caitlin and Megan, because the first New Year's of pandemic lockdown, we all isolated for like 2 or 3 weeks and said we were going to meet in the Hamptons for New Year's Eve that year. Empty, silent. But the one thing Megan and Caitlin wanted to do was make a pilgrimage to Ina Garten's house in the Hamptons. She was not there. The house was locked up. We had a photo shoot outside the house.
Did you knock on the door?
No.
Leave that white lady alone.
I don't know. We were out there. Anywho, it runs deep.
My favorite fun fact about Ina Garten is that she was a nuclear physicist, right?
Wow.
Yeah, she worked in government. Yeah. And then she one day decided, have you read her memoir? Anyone? Yes, incredible. How she casually brings up how she bought the Barefoot Contessa. She's like, one day I was looking at the paper and saw there was a cafe for sale in the Hamptons, in East Hampton. And I thought, I'd love a hobby. So she bought a cafe.
I'd love a hobby.
And then she created her whole identity around it, became the Barefoot Contessa. But yeah, I one day want to be her, just casually buying cafes.
We know.
I know, it's really...
I feel it happening for you.
I feel it.
Thank you.
When you're finally an elder.
When I'm an elder. When I cross 40. Yeah. All right. Well, with that, shall we get into the show?
Let's
Get
freaking
into
go.
the gig.
Yes. Speaking of barefoot, my shoes are off. My feet hurt today.
All right, my dears, let's talk about Patti LuPone's 11-year one-sided feud with Audra McDonald.
It's been that long.
That long.
Yeah, I mean, because Gayle King's messy ass asked Audra McDonald about it, and she was like, I haven't spoken to her in 11 years.
That was clutch.
You would have to ask her, but I don't know. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
Like, just someone being so nasty unnecessarily, and then you're like, I literally haven't spoken to them in over a decade.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, that's proof of, that's her power. That's her power. Well, let's get into it because, first of all, raise your hand if you've read the New Yorker profile of Patti LuPone by Michael Schulman. Okay.
Hey.
All right. That's what we're here for, okay? We are here to give you the tea you need, all right? So I've asked Zach. I'm going to tee you up.
Okay.
He's going to summarize the controversy for us.
Okay, I can do this.
We're all going to be on the same page together.
Ooh, where should we start? Does everyone know who Patti LuPone is? Okay, there.
It's a vibe check show.
Who?
I'd be like,
Dang.
well, it began in 1978 on Long Island.
These
No,
are cultured girls.
Culture Girls. Okay, so we all know Patti LuPone is a very famous Broadway actor, like legendary, and she's legendary for being a diva. She hates being called a diva, but she does embody the diva personality a lot. I think that's because she played, why did I forget? Evita.
Evita.
She was in Evita. So She now is a Broadway star, and last year she was starring in a show called The Roommate. It was next door to the show Hell's Kitchen, which is a show by Alicia Keys, which stars Keisha Lewis, a Black Broadway icon. And she's been in a lot of Broadway shows. She has been around. The show, because it is a musical, is loud. Patti LuPone hates things that are loud.
She's loud.
She's loud. She will, even in this profile in the New Yorker, if you're at dinner next to her and you talk too loud, she will tell you to shut up.
It's so straight. Yes, and I love you bring up this moment. She's being interviewed by the journalist in the restaurant and dinner in New York, and they're talking. She's like, can they, and it's just, but after she's like, I miss New York in the 70s when it was tough and messy and you could do. I'm like, so you get to act this way. To Sam's point, you get to be loud. You get to embody that it's New York. You got to be tough or leave. Everybody else has to be gentrified around.
I love that you bring that up because she is sensitive while being strong, which, is a great thing sometimes. So in 2024, she then calls the head of the Schubert organization. So in Broadway, there's like 4 organizations that own all the theaters. The Schuberts are like the most powerful family. She calls them and she's like, hey, y'all need to change the music cues in Hell's Kitchen right now. And they do it. And she thinks
they changed the music cues of a show while it is on its
Broadway.
current run. That is an abomination.
It's like, and I get it. It's Patti fucking LuPone. She's very influential in this industry. But yeah, it's a bit like your neighbor's having a party and you're frustrated with the music. And you call the head of the corporation that not only owns your building, but like every building on the block.
So they had to rearrange the show?
Apparently it was the bass. Like the bass was like really loud.
You know them black folks in that bass.
I know, black folks.
That I'm glad you pointed out because that's very much the undertone of what was going on.
It's a black show.
Keisha Davis spoke about it and said...
Yeah,
and Keisha Lewis spoke about it and said, that there are racial undertones to this.
And then she posts about it on Instagram saying that you're a bully, and I had the language, I forgot it backstage, but she's like, Patti, you're being a bully. You don't need to tell us to be quiet. And also, look at how that looks. You're telling the black show on the big black show on Broadway that you're being too loud. So Audra McDonald agreed and reposted Keisha's post.
I don't even know if she reposted it. I think
she
just put some emojis.
She put some emojis. I think something. She engaged with it. Yeah. And that was that. We heard nothing more. It's only been a year or two. It's been a year. Michael Schulman, the iconic theater writer, brings this up in this interview of Patti LuPone, this profile of her. She's currently up for a Tony, so is Audra McDonald. Audra McDonald has 6 wins. Patti LuPone has 2 wins. Those are very important numbers. Audra McDonald is the most celebrated and winning performer on Broadway. Whether you're black, white, male, female, anything, she is the top. It comes up. Patti LuPone's like, they ask her, how did you feel about Keisha Lewis posting this? And she's like, who is she? She's not a veteran. I've done 31 shows. She's done 8. Come back to me when she's done 28.
Well, and then she called her a bitch, right?
Yeah. She said, like, bitch was how she ended that sentence.
And then Audra McDonald comes up. Michael Schulman asks her about that. And he's like, what do you think of that? And she goes, Audra's not a friend, or that's typically how she acts.
That's how, and like not a friend with a D.
Yes, not a friend with a D. And then she goes, this was the shadiest part, when she's asked how she feels about Audra playing Mama Rose in Gypsy, which Audra is currently on Broadway doing.
Which Patty's done before.
Patty's done. Patty was her comeback role. She stops speaking for 15 seconds, looks outside, and turns back to Michael Schulman of The New Yorker and says, isn't it beautiful outside? And the interview ends.
Levels of
she now really you see. She ate with
now
that. She really thought she ate with that.
Now we're all on this. This is crazy, right? Yeah. Like it's so rude. It says so much about her. The other thing I wanted to note is early in the profile, she rants a lot about politics, and she hasn't been a stranger, right, of speaking out against Trump and all of that kind of stuff, and that's part of her persona. But it was really interesting because she rants a lot about politics and like one of those people who's like, New York should leave the rest of the country. It's better than everything and da-da-da. But later on in the profile, it notes that her longtime collaborator, David Mamet, who was like a full-on Trump supporter, like very loudly, a lot of people have had to like distance him. She still collaborates with him. Yeah. And so, there's this pattern of what she expects of other people and what she seems to expect of herself.
1,000%. And this hits a nerve, too, on Broadway. I've worked on Broadway for now 5 years.
Tony Award-winning producer.
Thank you.
Jinx.
Yes.
Jinx.
Always.
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 Listen, if your girls don't stand up for you like that on
Listen.
your accomplishment, get you some new girls, okay?
The
Get
elders
you some
stand
new
up for the youth.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Baby
so
girl.
as a Tony winner who is black,
You and
found
Audra.
that me and Audra, I have one. She has 6. She has like the real one. I have a producing one, which
No,
is real.
no, stop.
It's real.
Stop right now.
But
That's also what
It's
your girl
real.
should do
Thank
for you.
It's
But
real.
She was on set. Like, let me tell you something. The one job I don't want in the world is a Broadway actor. They do 8 shows a week, nonstop. That is labor. And when you see Audra, has anyone seen Audra on stage? Gypsy. Oh
Her
my
whole body.
I mean, first of all, I've seen her in Gypsy. I saw her recently. I took someone on a date. And it
That's
was
a good
incredible.
date.
I'm good at what I do. It was a good date. I just remember this is being recorded. It's fine.
Is he gonna hear it?
It's fine. But I also saw her a few years ago with, I'm going to mess up the title, Frankie and Johnny at the Claire de Lune, the revival of the play, which is to say, it was co-starring Michael Shannon. They begin the play butt naked, like the curtains open and they're both
Patty?
no, Audra McDonald
okay.
and Michael Shannon, traumatizing, are just naked on stage. Like, she is a performer who just gives her everything and her esteem. Those 6 Tonys are not just a testimony to her talent. This is an industry award. Those are her peers who over and over again, she's won an award, I think, in every possible category, supporting plays, music. It's just to disrespect her. I hate to say that everything takes it to Beyonce, but what I want to say is I think it's important for us to pay attention to how people in our life and society treat powerful, successful Black women. They are a proxy for their thoughts, really about the rest of us, but certainly for Black women in general. And I think that's happening with
She would never call in an interview with the New Yorker another thespian a bitch.
Well,
You're not gonna do that. You know, she knows.
you're correct.
Patty, though.
You're correct.
Did she also call someone else a bitch?
She does. What people missed in the article, surprisingly, is that she does call Glenn Close a bitch. But
she does.
She's quoting herself from back in the day. Because Glenn Close stole her role on Sunset Boulevard, and she was like, Glenn
Didn't
Close
steal it. Got it.
Got it. Yeah. Glenn Close came and sat next to her and apologized and said, I had nothing to do with taking your role. And she said, I thought you lying bitch. And like that.
And even that was an interesting tell to me. I thought.
Yeah, she
you
didn't say
lied,
it to her
bitch.
face.
She didn't say it to her face.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There's part of what I wanted to talk about was the way in which I think, and you see this in different places, right? Boston, the Northeast is definitely a place that is continuing to reckon with like liberal politics and racism, right? You're not above it. I think in the arts, you see a lot of people like Patti LuPone who are like, I'm the outcast, I'm the artist outsider. And they are in many ways, but also it's like you live in a penthouse apartment that overlooks Central Park.
Yeah.
Like, and even if you didn't, even if you were still just an indie artist, living down in the Bowery, being an artist doesn't give you a right to be an asshole.
Yeah.
Well, and so often in creative industries, we assume that's just par for the course.
Yeah.
A visionary creative genius, well, they must be an asshole. No, you don't have to be. You
really don't.
Audra's not.
Sure isn't.
Audra's not.
What I think is disappointing about the whole situation is that we all lived through George Floyd in 2020. We all allegedly bought those books and read them in 2020. Patti LuPone has been called to the mat many times for her behaviors. And in this moment, when talking to one of the most powerful theater writers in the world, Michael Schulman, she's not even thinking about how her words could impact the person receiving them. She's not even considering Black people. She's not even considering the fact that the reason why she's in 28 shows is because there are more roles for white women on Broadway than there are Black women. So Keisha couldn't even do that many because it's not possible for her. And that's what's disappointing in the situation.
I've been thinking a lot about what the profile and the response to it says about the state of this kind of media. And as soon as you said that we're going to talk about this for the show, I said, you know what? This is a testament to the power of the well-reported celebrity profile.
Yeah.
There's a cultural relevance and importance for that kind of unfettered journalistic access to powerful people over time. So much of entertainment coverage has become social media focused, junket based, short, quick hits that are meant to be viral and not deep.
Yeah.
I believe in the profile. I love it. We do modern scriptures because I was so obsessed with the profile of Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah.
I think that like seeing this story and how it's reverberated is just a testament to the need for continued deep coverage of the arts.
Yeah. And like, applaud that. Applaud that. And yeah, you're right. I mean, Michael Schulman, he spends days, a lot of time with her, a lot of different locations. They go to a hockey game. It turns out she's a hockey fan. Spend times with her in her house, several meals.
You need
Giving
that.
her as a subject the opportunity to just really talk, and in different contexts. You know, I think it's important to see how she's interacting with those young women in the restaurant, you know, because so the problem with a lot of media is it's basically media coverage is just turned into PR.
Yeah.
You
are
often
looking for
get-
viral clips.
Yeah, you often get 45 minutes with these people in a hotel room. Their publicist
That's
is
a
sitting
lot.
right there going, don't you talk about Hell's Kitchen or whatever. And instead, he's just like sitting alone in Patty's living room.
Yeah. Also, speaking of publicists, the second big thought I had over this topic was like, we need to re-empower publicists sometimes.
Bring them back.
Bring them
Where
back.
are they?
My theory is that during that first COVID lockdown, every celebrity was like, I can do it myself. I'm on Instagram.
And
I'm
look
posting.
at
I'm
'em.
TikToking. No.
Look at 'em.
You need someone to tell you to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And listen to them.
You see Chris Brown posting free Tory Lanez, and then like the next
And now
day,
he's in jail.
He got arrested.
He got arrested.
A black woman on TikTok said, "Free Tory." The universe said, "Free you."
Yeah. And
It's
like,
crazy.
Yeah. So like I am into this as a race story, but I'm also into this as a media story, and it just contains a multitude.
It does.
I wanted to ask you, Zach, as a Tony Award-winning producer.
Yes.
You know, it's interesting. You know, I was a theater kid, you know, once upon a time. And, you know, drag, theater, a lot of the arts are refuge for all of us, certainly queer people, but all of us to, you know, liberate. And to her credit, I do understand that that is part of what Patti LuPone represents.
Yeah.
She represents the woman who speaks up.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not, now she's just kind of taking it too far. And so I have empathy for that. But I guess what I wanted to ask you is, I feel like I mentioned David Mamet, for example. You talk about the Schubert organization. I feel like theater, or at least Broadway, is actually more conservative than we perceive it. Like, I think we perceive it as a...
Because there are gay folks there. We're like, oh, it must be liberal.
And
It's gay.
musicals,
Yeah,
people
all right.
singing
Yeah,
and dancing.
yeah.
But tell me about the politics.
I mean, and we have to go to break in a second, but it's incredibly conservative. And an example I can give you is that I was one of the producers on A Strange Loop, which won the Tony in 2020.
Yes.
2022. It's a show about a black queer man writing a musical about a black queer man. The whole cast is black and queer. It's incredible. It's revolutionary. I love it so much. It's touring right now. It was in Boston last year, actually, funny enough, and which is great. And let me tell you this, and then we'll close. We won the Tony. When you win the Tony for Best Musical, you're supposed to see a huge skyrocket in ticket sales. It's supposed to change everyone's life. Everyone's going to make money. People got jobs forever, et cetera, et cetera. And our show saw a bump, but we quickly realized we're going to have to close pretty soon. And we were one of the quickest closing winners ever.
After winning.
Best.
And when we began exploring a tour, all the major theater owners around the country, which are the real deciders in the Tonys too, these are people that are voting, they were like, nah, we're good. We're not going to program this. It's not going to be financially viable for us. No one's going to come. And so I had to go beg pharmaceutical companies, Gilead, for instance, had to pay for this show to begin its tour. And we're slowly making it work as we go. And as we go places, it does sell. We played in LA at a house that was bigger than any Broadway house.
I was
sold
there
out.
with you,
You were
yeah.
there. So it shows me that, like, you gotta bet on us. People will show up for us. They will show up for this art. They will show up for black people. You just gotta support us. And that's what Patty's not doing. She's not supporting other black women.
Or respecting.
Yeah, respecting them. And that's why, everyone's kind of very, very upset about this. But with that, we do need to take a quick break because we have to talk about sex after this.
Oh, right.
So we have a whole other thing. So we'll take a quick break. I can't talk. We'll be right back with more Vibe Check.
All right.
Music.
Pop, pop. Wait, and keep this in the recording. All right, Vibe Check is back, but first I want to take a moment and recognize a very, very special VIP guest who is here with us tonight. She came in from New York. Y'all might know her from our iconic phrase, "Leave it in, Chantel." Chantel Holder is here.
Yeah.
Where are you, baby?
Stand up.
Where are you?
Stand up.
Oh, she's
Be
waving.
recognized.
Leave it in.
Yes.
Okay. On the count of 3, I want everyone to say, leave it in, Chantel. 1, 2, 3.
Leave it in,
Oh, yes, we love you. We love you.
We're so glad you're here. Also, one of our EPs, Camille Stanley, is here as well. Hi.
Yes.
We are honored to have such amazing colleagues that make us sound good everywhere.
They make us sound good. They help us with our just everything.
Yeah.
It means everything
Yeah.
to work with these
Yeah.
two brilliant black women.
Yeah.
It's a true joy.
With that, we're back, and I wrote this. Vibe Check is back, and baby, just call us TLC, because let's talk about sex. You wouldn't get that reference. You're very young.
I remember. Oh my God. I
want
love
to put
TLC.
on the silk pajamas.
Yes.
From Creep.
Yes. It is.
Oh,
yeah.
Salt and Pepper did Let's Talk About Sex. Yeah.
Thank you for the
Okay,
correction.
you're close. It's all right. We'll cut that
You're-
in.
you were-
TLC joke, not
Oh,
me.
shit.
Yeah.
Fuck.
That's on you, nigga.
Let's do it again. Thank you.
Yeah.
What's your name? What's your name?
Hello.
Thank you for saving us.
Black women in STEM.
Always saving
And to
us.
say, and to prove that I was conscious in the '90s, I think your brain was thinking of the Scrubs music video that TLC was doing in the pajamas, right?
Creep was TLC in the pajamas. Salt and Pepper did the cross colors and oversized
Okay, never mind.
stuff.
I wasn't alive.
Let's talk about sex. TLC
Salt and Pepper.
did do no.
Okay.
Salt and Pepper did Let's Talk About
Yes.
Sex, but TLC did do like a pro condom campaign. And I
Yes,
think
because
that's what you.
Left Eye wore the condom over her glasses.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what we're
All right.
getting.
And
Because
what?
we- Oh, hello. Hi.
Hi. People
Join
were-
us. Honestly, it's anti-black not to be in here right now. Yeah. Join the revolution.
He's coming in. He's coming in. All right, we're going to do this thing
Yeah.
again. I'm going to get this dad joke right.
Oh, my
Thank you
God.
for saving me. I appreciate you. This old gay elder brain.
Gay
you
elder
know,
brain.
You wouldn't know. All right. Okay, here we go. All right, Vibe Check is back, and baby, just call us Salt and Pepper, because let's talk about sex.
Yes. Woo!
Who's Salt and Pepper, and then who's Spinderella?
I like Spinderella.
I always love the name Spinderella.
You can have it.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Very
yeah.
generous of you.
Who are you?
Salt.
Okay.
I just
Pepper.
guessed. I don't know.
Pepper. All right.
Why?
We're gonna
Because you're
talk
the
about-
lighter. Okay.
That's
fine.
yeah. Anyway.
All right, we have alluded to this topic in the past on the show, but I want to go deep on it this week because
Go deep.
it's kind of get it.
I got it.
Anywho, we're going to talk about sex because we've all seen the studies about how young people seem to be having less sex than older folks did during that age. But Zach pointed out.
Oh, news to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not.
It's true.
Yeah, but Zach found some other data that indicates all people across all age groups
Except
in
for
the
one.
developed world aren't having as much sex as they used to. In fact, Vox has called it a sex recession. A sex recession. So for years now, people who study this stuff have found that from Japan to Europe to Australia, we're having less sex for the most part, and there's even less masturbation.
Really?
Yeah.
People aren't touching themselves either.
Listen.
Therapy. Please.
So I want to talk about this sex recession. Yes. I want to discuss this sex recession, but also, like Saeed alluded to, there are two groups that seem to buck the trend for two very different reasons. But first, to start, Saeed, Zach, based on your experience, personal or from what you hear from friends and family, do you think that there is a sex recession going on?
Not in my life. And I'm not even trying to be, but no, me and my girls are out here fucking. What I will say that might be helpful for people is because there were a lot of different studies. I tried to spend a lot of time reading a study from NIH it was like focusing on California. The question was basically, when was the last time you had a sexual encounter? And so what's happening in a lot of these studies is, and it's like from ages 19 to 40, the rate of people who say they haven't had a sexual encounter in the last year has gone up like 10 or 15% for like kind of like the last decade.
Wow.
Yeah, but personal life, no.
Love that.
My sister.
My sister, I know. Look, everybody got to eat.
Everybody got to eat. I remember the poem you wrote after Trump won. You were like, I'm fucking more.
That's in the People's Project out this September
Yes.
from Atria Books.
Pre-order.
So
Pre-order.
That's my answer.
Okay,
Well, what
Zach.
about you?
I'm not surprised by it.
Really?
I was telling you all in my. This keeps dating me. In undergrad, I took a class in 2009.
Yeah.
That was called Sex Economies in Japan, and we were studying how people weren't having very much sex in Japan, how it was kind of a canary in the coal mine around fertility rates, and that people, it's called a support ratio when you're not making enough babies to support the economy, so then the economy collapses on it to itself. And we were studying that back then, and I was really shocked because they were saying, oh, this is kind of spreading through a lot of developed countries. And then when I went on to work at Grindr, the app, the sex app company, I was like, I don't think people are having that much sex.
Really?
I think they're on the app a lot. People were spending an hour and 20 minutes a day on that app. And that said to me as a user at the time, y'all aren't meeting up very much if you're spending all day talking. And we could actually track the data because Grindr didn't actually get access to what you were saying. We didn't store that on our hard drives.
Thank God.
Thank God. Which was I was the chief content officer, and people would be like, what do you do? Look at dick pics all day? And I was like, we don't actually have them. Like, that's on your phone. But
That'd be fun, though.
But it'd be fun.
Or
for a
not
little bit.
consensual, but not
It's boring.
funny. But we were able to see people were messaging a ton, but never meeting because we could see the GPS locations were never coming into contact. So back then, I would see all these people through the data
interesting.
just staying
Talking,
home,
but not
talking,
actually.
but not
Yeah.
actually hooking up.
So I want. Oh, go ahead.
The other thing that I will say that was interesting from the data was that, and I feel like to me it feels like a bit of a chicken or the egg. In the studies I was reading, aside from questions about fertility, which I don't like, and we can talk about that.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that there is a correlation, and again, chicken or the egg, between people having more and less sex, and then issues like stress, depression, anxiety. So people could be having less sex because they're more anxious or whatever, or they could be more anxious and whatever because
they're
they're
not
having less
fucking.
sex.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I wasn't convinced as to which way it was going.
Same. So I want to talk about and ask y'all why y'all think it is. So I spent a few hours today looking through what the researchers say about this. And the one thing a lot of them agree upon is that now more than ever, it's easier and more fulfilling to just be at home. You have video games, you have social media, your iPhone is a supercomputer that can tell you everything any time of day. You have access to any movie or TV show on demand. Now more than ever, you're more compelled to just stay the fuck at home.
Yeah.
Do y'all think that's part of it?
Well, I do.
Yeah.
I do. I think technology is part of it. And someone, Lisa Wing, she's written a bit about this.
Yeah.
She pointed out that also we, young people especially, but all of us, it's easier for us to maintain great, intimate or platonic relationships with people
digitally
across the country and other countries. Both of my best friends live in New York, but I talk to them all day, every day. I mean, we three people literally started a podcast, across the country. And so particularly for young people, your social circle may not necessarily be everyone at school that you see in person, and that could maybe mean that you're having less.
Well, and speaking of young people, the data also points out that like more than when we were young, young people are less likely to have time that is just unstructured.
Yeah.
Where you're just hanging around.
Yeah.
What's your take on this, young person?
Yeah, a young person. I do.
I'm gonna stop. I promise.
I do think. No, you can keep going. It's fine. I can take it. I can take it. Another sex joke. Sorry, I'm gonna not start that.
Too late.
I think when I was single,
Show off.
I feel like we're doing shifts.
I know.
You're on.
I know.
I'm
This
off. I'm
punch.
over here.
We love you,
I
Zach.
know. Yes, this is my. Anyway, this is taking back to childhood trauma.
No, we don't want
Kidding,
that.
I'm
We don't
kidding,
want
kidding.
that. Okay.
No, but I do remember when I was, a single person. I worked at Grindr, and then I was on Grindr. I did have an obsession with just talking and thinking something better would come along. I had this idea that I would swipe and something worth my time would pop up, and I would know it, but I never knew it. And I did find my partner at the gym on accident. I thought he was straight when I first met him, and now when you meet him, that's hilarious.
Wait,
so okay.
Craig was
Totally forgot that Craig was technically
technically
Wait,
straight with an asterisk.
Greg?
He wasn't actually straight. I perceived him as
He was
straight.
Mormon.
Oh,
And the reason why, y'all want to know why I thought he was straight? This is really messed up.
How we deadlifted.
No, we went to maybe actually. No, we worked out at a CrossFit gym in New York, and this gym was very cruisy, in which we should bring back cruising. Young people should start cruising.
Legalize it.
But we were at a very cruisy gym, and all the gay men made eye contact. They would look at each other. They would look at you when you walked away. Not Craig. Craig would just like look down, look at the way, not talk to anybody. And I was like, oh, he must be straight. He's not engaging in all the queer cruising at all. I got to talking to him and found out he just has social anxiety.
Yeah.
So
He's just anxious girl.
yeah,
His skin's too good. He's gay.
too good, too good. Yeah.
Skin is too good to be straight. It's really funny. But it actually kind of brings me to my next point. I feel like here's my thing. Gay men, I don't know what's going on with us. Setting us aside for a second, I mean, I think we have to acknowledge significantly in the last decade what's happening in this country around reproductive health and justice.
Yes.
Healthcare is more expensive than ever at base. Free my nigga Luigi. I know, you got there. Nigga is the highest form of praise when I say it. But also, like, you know, reproductive rights are being taken away. You know, women are saying things like, I think it was in an NPR story the other day. Someone was talking about a girlfriend who's pregnant and was going to take a road trip like down, and her friend was like, no, you're not. A pregnant woman driving through southern state. What if something happens?
Yeah.
You have that woman in Georgia, right, who's been brain dead, and against her and her family's wishes, because she's pregnant, they're forcing her to keep this brain dead woman. So, you know, why are people not having sex? Because it's dangerous.
Yeah.
I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
Well, and this brings me to the next point that I want to bring up. And we'll talk about boomer women after protonatalists, because all the data says that there are two groups who are actively trying to buck this trend. Single women who are menopausal or post, and right-wingers who call themselves protonatalists.
Yeah.
These are, the most famous protonatalist right now is Elon Musk. And their thinking is, we need more people in the world.
White people.
To keep the world moving, but it needs to be the right kind of people.
Yeah.
So they don't want dumb folks to recreate. They don't want non-white folks to
They don't want disabled people.
recreate. They want it to be a master race that has as many kids as possible.
Which echoes
Elon's
to
part of this. J.D. Vance talks about this. The alt-right, in the midst of a sex recession,
Absolutely.
is doing that.
Yeah.
What do you make of that, Zach?
I mean, it's white supremacy rearing its head. I think we are seeing a current battle on a global scale of white supremacy trying to fight for its place as people are becoming more aware of how patriarchy helps nobody. It doesn't help men. It doesn't help women. It definitely doesn't help women. It's violent, and we should be considering how to take it down. And I think these folks see that, you know, they're looking at the long game and seeing that people are becoming more aware of the violence that is in these ideologies, and they're trying to procreate to keep them going. So it's just like a very dangerous way of thinking, because to your point, it's similar to the immigration policies. They're bringing in South Africans.
Yeah.
No one else.
Like, come on. Well, and it just speaks to the ways in which the right has lost most other options. They cannot convince people to get behind most of their big policy planks. All they have left is telling their small set of troops to keep fucking and making babies.
Yeah. It's a death cult.
It's a sign of desperation.
I mean, you know, and I actually got this from Roxanne, and we were talking about this at dinner last night. I stayed into write yesterday. I'm sorry. I just like that was.
I thought you were being a dumb bitch.
Well, dumb bitch and writing. You know, I'm complicated. But we did have dinner, and you know, it's you know, because RFK, you know, so many of his policies I just found really confusing, and she was just like, "Saeed, it's eugenics."
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
when you have the most important leader of healthcare in the country bragging about drinking raw milk, what's the communication? That members of the superior race will be okay. The rest of y'all will.
Yeah.
But we will be
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Well, and this is happening in the same news week in which Trump's White House has now officially cut all research funding to find a cure for HIV.
Yeah.
Because their master race doesn't include queer people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And, you know, we only have a few minutes left.
And I want to talk about Gen X women.
But let's talk
who
about
are-
Gen X women,
yes.
because
Because they're postmenopausal. They
There you
don't
go.
worry
There
about
you go.
pregnancy.
But finish your thought and then we'll
But
go
no,
there.
I was going to say, as a bridge, Gen X women actually, in their interest in sex, which I love the show Dying for Sex with Michelle Williams.
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful show, very interesting. is incredible that they are having sex because I think it's something we should celebrate. I think Gen X folks grew up in a world that was very
clap, baby. Clap, baby.
I think like
She said this one's for the team.
the stories
Hey, I love it.
The stories I hear, and even like I see this on TikTok a lot of young women are saying, oh, men are probably mad because like they're used to DE&I marriages. Because back in the day, we lived in a society that just forced women to marry men because they were property. And now you're going to say something.
I just realized something.
What?
When your question of like people in your life, I mean, aside from gay men or always fucking, that's all they do is fuck, lie, and do ketamine.
Who you hanging out with?
No judgment. But when I was like my personal life, the people I'm talking to, they're all Gen X women.
Can I tell you this?
They are all having
I have
great.
a theory about
so
life.
raise your hand if you're a Gen X woman. Come on. Congratulations, sir.
I've been
Good
saying
for
this for about a
you.
year or
Good
two
for
now.
you. Yeah. I was like,
I've
oh shit.
found in my life, the happiest people in my social circles in Los Angeles are a very specific group. They are divorced mothers over 40. Let me point out why. The divorce helps because they get to have the kids outside of the house a few days a week, and it makes the man step up. Yeah. 2, they enjoy being single because they're like, now I can just fuck, and the man leaves.
Yes.
Everyone in my life who is the happiest and who was fucking the most is a divorced woman over 40.
Oh, and the only people having more fun are child-free women. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think what's really important about that is that there was a time for many centuries where women were told, you will die if you don't don't stay with this man. And now we're seeing women say, no, I'm going to survive. I'm going to thrive. I'm going to find pleasure again. I'm going to find someone that actually knows how to have sex with me and is actually interested in having sex with me. Yeah. And I think that's a model we should all look to, is that once you let go of the confines of what sex should be, what marriage should be, what being a woman or a man should be, you do find freedom and pleasure in that.
And also, I want to recommend Rebecca Traister's books, All the Single Ladies.
She's so
really
good.
About the history of this. And the other thing I want to say, these women, I mean, truly, raise your hands, applause. You are possibility models. Yeah. Like, you being able to live so joyfully at this point in your life, you inspire other people. Look, he hasn't stopped smiling since.
I tell people all the time.
You send them free, baby. You send them free. But I mean it.
I tell people all the time, I don't ever want to get married, but I would love to be divorced.
Hello.
It would be so great.
Wait, why do I want that too?
Thank you.
Damn.
Make a t-shirt.
That is so funny.
Wow.
Come on now.
I'm literally, my mom is.
Why is that like such a vibe?
Because it's just liberation,
the divorcee.
Baby. Yes.
Yeah.
It is like,
I see it.
Anywho, I'll just say, to close, I want to ask, hold on to that. I aspire to divorce.
That's like similar. I used to say I want to be the parent of an adult child. I don't want to raise a child.
Listen, I am a single dad with no kids. Yeah. Like, that is my energy.
Yeah.
But I wanted to close by having all of us offer any advice or wisdom that we can share around sex and sex lives, given these trends and what we think about it. And I'll go first and say my biggest piece of sex advice for anyone who needs it is that your sex life is healthier if you're talking to somebody about it.
Yes.
Ooh, yeah.
I grew up in so much shame around sex for many reasons, listeners know. And in adulthood, when I was able to go frolic and do sodomy, for years I would just do it in secret.
Do sodomy.
That's what it is.
I told you he talks like an ancestor.
Oh my God, not you in Babylon.
But for years, I had a thriving sex life, but it was secret.
Yeah.
And that didn't feel good.
Yeah.
And now I have people in my life, queer men in my life, where I just tell them everything.
Yeah.
And it makes me not just be a better sexual partner, it keeps me healthier, it keeps me more sane.
More communication.
So my biggest advice is, when it comes to sex and drug use, make sure you're talking to somebody about it.
Yeah.
At least one person.
Yeah.
Love that.
And my quick thing before because we're about to go over,
Yeah,
which is
sorry.
fine, is that be selfish in sex. Like, take care of you. It took me years to realize that it's not just about me pleasing someone else. I swear to God. I think I grew up watching, the television I had access to.
I'm sorry, I was giggling thinking about you wearing Craig the fuck out. Yeah, girl. That's my girl. That's my girl.
We've been together for years now.
She
so
said
we figured it
Tony
out.
Award winning producer. Yes. Work.
I'm so glad he's not here for this. But I do think it's revolutionary to some people, and maybe some of you in this audience, is that sex should be about you first and foremost, and if you're feeling good. So make that a part of it and make that sexy too as you
Can
talk
I
about
just
it.
sidebar to say we're such opposites? My big aha moment of growth in the last few years was like, oh, sex exists for the other person's enjoyment as well.
Listen, y'all say astrology
We're all
isn't
learning
real,
so
but
much about each other.
Yeah. This is
What?
proof that Leos exist and
We
Pisces
do.
exist.
Damn.
We
That
do.
is- yeah. But
Well, and then
I'm much better now.
I wonder how this correlates to being the Sagittarius. Though no, I'm not getting into the astrology of this now. My advice is that sex is an act, sure, that starts at one point and ends at another point. But great sex, I believe, begins hours before the act of sex. Great sex is how you're flirting and communicating, and the little, oh baby, let me go get. No, you sit down. I'll go. All of that, the little brushes. You know what I mean? It's enacting the sensuality and the attention, the alertness, thinking about what you want, thinking about what they like. All of that can begin, baby, at breakfast, even if the sex act doesn't begin until dinner.
And on that note,
Were you
two
videotaping
truths-
me?
I was taking a photo.
Oh.
Do you want me to videotape you? This is a sex conversation. On top of that point, though, something that it took me years to learn, sex, to be good sex, doesn't need to involve penetration or ejaculation. They're not mandatory.
yeah.
That's all.
And for our next episode, we'll talk about sides.
We will.
Yeah.
We literally do.
If you know
Y'all
what that
will.
means. Well, that's our show technically. We're about to run out of time, but can we have like a few minutes for questions? Would y'all be willing to stay around for questions?
Yeah.
Let's stay a little
okay.
over. Let's stay a little over time.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do it. All right. So I have a few questions, and I want to start with this one because it's for Saeed Jones.
Oh.
Is dumb bitch summer the new hot girl summer?
It can be if you've earned it. Yes.
And what advice do you have for someone wanting to engage in dumb bitchery, I guess?
My dumb bitchness is about my time by myself. It's not about how I interact with other people. I'm trying to liberate myself from so much of the weight that, we necessarily have to hold and take on. And it's just the paying, it's just a lot. And even when I'm by myself, I have realized that I've been very punishing. You're not working hard enough. You're not da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like at home, I'm like, bitch, you earned this. Be dumb, girl.
Yeah.
You've earned that
Yeah.
looseness.
And if you can't be loose in your own house,
Yeah.
that's where you're owed.
And thus I
peace.
watched 4 Shrek movies yesterday.
Which one is your favorite?
I like the one with Rumpelstiltskin because he's pretty, yeah. But
Rumpelstiltskin hive out
but
here.
also Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, baby. That is art.
That is art. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Another question. I'm going to direct this at Sam, but we all can answer. What is something you're most hungry for at this moment? And I think this is cultural or personal. Could be one. I love that this is outside too right now. This is yeah, like, it's fully outside.
Also, friends, those white people didn't come in.
Because no, they had to pay for tickets. I'm just saying.
Uh-huh.
What was the question?
What are you most hungry for at this moment?
I had, I've talked about this on the show a lot because y'all have walked with me, listeners, through a little bit of a midlife crisis. And so much of my suffering ended with Zora the dog passing away. And once she passed, literally, I'll kid you not, I was outside in the backyard just sitting, talking to myself, thinking thoughts. And this voice said, well, that season's over. Yeah. So when it was over, all of a sudden I was like, I want gathering. I want people around, and I want to be with them, and I want situations in which I can't tell which voice is which.
I love that. What an image.
And I had some folks at my house for the last holiday, and it was so great, Memorial Day. I get it mixed up with Labor Day. But a friend of mine wanted to borrow my backyard, and I said, yeah, girl, do whatever you want. I popped open the grill that my Aunt Betty sent me, and I said, I'm not in charge. My friends are. These straight men grilled and wouldn't leave the grill. Everyone else brought food and drink.
this.
And I was just there watching people I love be lovely. So more of that. I hunger for that,
that.
today because a lot of the last few years for me were beautiful in a very singular, contemplative way.
Yeah.
Now I want to hear the voices of the people I love.
Yeah. Also, another gem buried in there, straight men. First of all, shower. Second of all, deodorant. Third of all, put down the podcast mics there for gay people and women. And pick up the
Go to the
grilling
grill.
utensils.
Can I tell you?
It's literally the only thing we want you for.
But listen, the way they showed up and showed out, I was prepared to grill. There were other folks, and like this one white dude was just like, I got it.
Yes.
I got it.
I love it.
His wife was like, are you sure? He's like, I got this. And I come by him and I check on him and he's like, I just want to make sure it's good for you, man. And I was like, thank you so much.
Men, there's that meme of, and I feel like it's like a right-wing thing. Like, men used to go to war. Fuck that.
Go to the
men
grill.
used to grill. It's the only, grilling is the only thing that like straight men are obsessed with that actually benefits anyone other than them. It's incredible. Anyway, sorry.
Bravo. Right as you began that men used to go to war, I was like, and they used to grill. In my head, I was like,
They still do.
They're good at
They
it.
still do. Aunt Betty sent me that grill because she was like, you should go. You have a backyard.
I love that.
It stayed in the box for a year and a half. I finally had someone else put it together. And the day of my grilling, the men did it.
I love that.
I
So it was
love
great.
it.
Yeah,
I
it
love
was
it.
great.
I also like that you let your friends borrow your backyard.
Oh, yeah.
That's really fun.
Yeah, it was so delightful. Yeah.
Also, fun fact, I grill once a week for my whole house.
You ain't never told me.
I know. It's like a
Yeah,
private
this is a
thing.
secret.
Oh.
Private thing.
Okay.
And I guess I'll answer this question. Something I'm really hungry for now that I got to experience over the weekend after you left Provincetown. We were there during, they call it.
Very pointy.
Sorry. It was, I love my time with Saeed, but we were there during.
But.
Not but. There's no but to this. We were there during Baby Dyke weekend.
Oh,
which
yeah.
I did not know existed. Wow.
Baby Dyke Week.
Baby Dyke weekend.
We learned a lot.
Young lesbians?
Young lesbians, yes.
Oh, that sounds delightful.
Yeah, it was a lovely, wonderful time. There was a fight that we witnessed.
Very
It was
aggressive.
The whole thing.
Heard about the fight.
But the last night of the long weekend, I was invited to a dinner party of all queer women, and I loved it. I don't want to go to dinner parties with gay men anymore. Just queer women. We pulled out our star charts.
Love.
We talked about our feelings. There was one therapist there. She helped us get through things. Whoa, better than sex. Lesbian dinner parties. I loved it. So I am hungry for that. So if you're a lesbian woman, queer woman, and you like dinner parties, call me. I'll be there.
I love a good dinner party.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's our show. Thank you all so much for coming tonight.
Thank you.
did
Oh,
it.
this was so fun.
All right. We want to thank WBUR,
Yes.
who is at this point a
Our
Vibe
second
Check
home.
partner.
Yes, absolutely.
And
We
thank
love
y'all for
WBUR.
coming. We'll see you maybe next year.
Yeah.
Thank
Bye.
you all.
Give it up once again. Thank you all for coming. Make sure, you listen to the